Hi, this is Aaron, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be showcasing the new warrior abilities. Well, not new warrior abilities, but the new warrior changes to in Final Fantasy XIV patch 4.2. Um, so, first thing I'll be going over is the ability changes, and after that I'll go over like what actually changed with like how they did those changes, and then I'm going to display my opener and rotation for warrior. um, First of all, with the ability changes, almost all of the abilities have a potency increase, but the downside to that is that, or well, one of the that is awesome, but they have a downside. They decreased the Storm's Eye damage buff by 10%. So you're only getting 10% damage increase off of Storm's Eye instead of 20%, which none of the, well, some of the abilities did get a 10% increase, maybe, but not nearly all of them. So basically, overall, that's a damage decrease. And the second important thing about the new ability changes is that inner release is now Berserk. They just totally made it so that inner release is Berserk. They formed that into one ability, and along with that, they no longer tied inner release to Unchained, which I'll get to later. The next thing is that inner release, which is now Berserk, has been reduced. The duration has been reduced by 10 seconds. So instead of getting a 20% or a 20-second berserk, you're only getting a 10-second berserk, which means your skill speed is probably going to be a little bit more important in this patch. I'm trying to keep my skill speed around 2.4 to 2.4 seconds, or my GCD down to 2.4 seconds, just to make sure that I'm getting 5 fell cleaves in each inner release. That's important because I don't know, sometimes like you have to move around a little bit, like just trying to give myself a little bit of leeway. I know people can do it with less, but I don't like having that in tight situations, or I don't like having my inner release that tight in while I'm raiding. The next thing they changed about inner release and Berserk is that it does auto direct crits. So every single attack you do in inner release will automatically be a crit and a direct hit. But there's no more 30% damage buff in inner release / Berserk. So even though you're getting all the crits and direct hits in the world while you're in inner release, they still reduce the damage by 30%, which is a major blow to the warrior's DPS. On the upside, they did make it so that while you're in inner release, there is no more gauge burning. So any abilities that require your gauge will no longer require any gauge points in inner release. So what does this all mean? Overall, you're probably going to have less damage output. But on the upside, since you're no longer spending gauge in inner release and Berserk, you get to have more fell cleaves. So outside of inner release, I usually try to save up my gauge for. First of all, you want to save it up for upheaval, which is the first move you want to save it up for. Second, you want to have fell cleaves. Onslaught, only use that if the boss gets away from you, just so that you can get closer quickly and get those normal GCDs. But other than that, I would just leave Onslaught alone. Like, overall, 20 gauge for a 100 potency attack is just not worth it. Also, since you're going to be doing more fell cleaves, they still have the 5-second reduction on Infuriate's cooldown when you do fell cleaves or inner beasts. So you get to do more Infuriates, which Infuriates are basically instant fell cleaves. Let's see, what else did I want to go over? Another cool thing about what has changed is that the new opener for, well, at least my opener for tanking is only 3 GCDs until you start Berserk / Inner Release, which before it was like 5 or 6 before you could actually start in on your Berserk awesome damage combos. So I'm gonna go into my new opener, which I'm gonna go over it a little bit, then I'm gonna demonstrate it. So I start out with a Storm's Eye combo, and I'm usually main tanking in my raid, so they did make it so that warriors do get a little bit more hate on their build-up, because now you can use Unchained before you start attacking, and you're only going to be using it for 3 GCDs, so you can actually start it during the countdown, which is amazing. So you get a little bit more damage from Unchained while you're still in Deliverance or Defiance. Then you start your Storm's Eye combo, and after you do Heavy Swing, I usually, since I'm main tanking, I usually hit Onslaught just to grab a little bit more hate at the beginning. I have yet to have somebody pull off me, but I'm sure they're using their damage reduction abilities, or their hate reducing abilities, I should say, so that they're not taking the boss off me. But so far this is pretty solid. I have yet to have somebody pull hate off me, but I'm sure that will happen eventually once we get higher gear and everything. So after I do Heavy Swing, I go into my Onslaught to build that extra hate. Then I hit Maim, and after Maim I usually try to get my infusions activated, because soon after I'm going to be going into Inner Release / Berserk, and I'm going to want all the damage from that. After Heaven's Eye, you have to do 2 off cooldown abilities, which the first one is you're going to switch to Deliverance and then activate Inner Release. And then from there, I always leave Upheaval until I activate Inner Release so that I can get the direct crits off of that. Oh, I'm being hugged. totally blanked me. Alright, so after you initiate your inner release, if you can, get upheaval in between or before you get off your first fell cleave, go for it. But I usually wait to after my first fell cleave to hit upheaval. And then after your third or fourth fell cleave, onslaught will be back up, so you can get a free one of those, which a free one is amazing, and it's a direct crit, so it's going to build more hate for you. And then after you finish off the combo, oh, I forgot to mention to activate Infuriate at the beginning of the fight. After you do your first, whether it be a tomahawk, if you're closing in on the boss, or if you can start right at the boss and you're just starting off with heavy swing, you always want to get that Infuriate off as soon as possible, so that when you hit inner release, you're just going straight into reducing Infuriate's cooldown. And like I said, Infuriate is going to be coming up so much faster because you're going to be doing so many more fell cleaves between inner release / berserk. That is going to be probably where you're going to be picking up a lot of that 10%, 30% damage loss, or damage buff loss, is in the fell cleaves you're doing outside of inner release / berserk. Back before 4.2, I was only getting 1, maybe 2 fell cleaves in between berserks, if that, depending on how much attention I needed to pay to mechanics during the bosses. But now you can get like 5 to 6 fell cleaves between inner releases, so that's reducing Infuriate's cooldown that much more and giving you more fell cleaves as the fight goes on. Now I'm going to demonstrate my opener. I'm going to zoom back in. Alright. So I'm going to do like a normal pull, so I'm going to run in with a tomahawk because that's normally how things are pulled. So let's run in. I'm going to activate Unchained first because I want that extra damage off of the first few attacks while I'm in Defiance. Come in, do Tomahawk, Infuriate, Heavy Swing, Onslaught. I did that a little bit late. I'm trying to focus on multiple things at once. Oh, the Fell Cleaves. Activated upheaval a little bit late because I'm focusing on talking. Oh yeah, get that Onslaught in there. Yep, and 5 seconds left on Infuriate. Get a Storm's Path in here. Now normally right here I would have enough gauge, but I'm totally not distracted and not getting all the damage I should be getting in. And outside of inner release, after your first initial opener, basically you're just going to be doing Storm's Path combos to build up your gauge so that you can do more Fell Cleaves. And after that, you only do Storm's Eye when you need to refresh the buff. And that's pretty much it. As long as you have 10 seconds left on your buff, you can activate inner release and not have to wait. So, and that's pretty much it. Overall, I think warrior damages are going to be a little bit lower than where they were pre 4.2. But overall, I think they've made the rotation for warriors a lot easier, making it definitely a lot more accessible to players that can't focus as much on their rotation during fights. So, I mean, they literally made it so you can just press the buttons. I mean, I have mixed feelings about that, since, like, you know, I kind of want the feeling that I'm actually accomplishing something when I'm doing my rotation. I want to feel like I'm pulling the max out of what I can do, and I'm pressing all of my things at the correct time and everything to get that maximum DPS. Now it's just, it feels like, oh yeah, there's still, I mean, none of the timing is tight, but like, as long as you're getting your cooldowns when they're refreshing, and you're not like screwing up your rotations, you're pretty much going to be doing the maximum DPS that your warrior will be able to do. This patch, I think warriors are going to be focused more on crit and determination. You're gonna want skill speed up to a point. Like I said, I'm probably going to shoot for 2.4 GCD. That will give me plenty of time to get that 5th Fell Cleave in my inner release. And other than that, crit and det are probably going to be the major things that you're going to want on your gear. Now, you're still going to want the direct hit melded from materia. Like, having no direct hit at all on tank equipment really sucks. But having 0 direct hits outside of inner release is an overall damage loss than being able to do that. So I'm still going to be melding direct hit on all of my gear, except for maybe accessories. I'll have strength. But I'll probably be keeping a couple of my crafted accessories, since they'll probably be better than some of the gear later on. I doubt all of the accessories are going to have crit, det, skill speed combos for the warrior, or tanks in general, I should say. So those are my thoughts on the new warrior. I am looking forward to what it will become, and I'm looking forward to see what kind of damage I'm going to be outputting in the new raid. So I don't know. I kind of like it because, like I said, it's a little bit easier than the last rotation for warrior. Actually, it's a lot easier than the last rotation for warrior. But on the flip side of that, it's like, I don't feel like I deserve that damage. Like, it's just so easy. Like, the challenge to it is gone. And even pre 4.2, it wasn't that much of a challenge to get the correct rotation down for warrior. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'd be glad to hear from anyone, especially if I missed anything. I might have missed something about inner release. I might have forgotten to say something about it, about how it changed, but I am blanking. So goodbye, and I'll try to make some more Final Fantasy XIV videos later. This is my MMO, so I'm on here most often if I'm not playing other games with friends. So goodbye, everybody. and I'll see you later.